Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lzaicher Nishmas, Mordechai. Welcome to all the guests. The wrong Kornbluth is in the house. He's going for being here, all the way from Ramat Shemesh. We'll say Kapitel Kuf Chaf Aleph. Okay, for a change. Everybody has it? We'll say it together. Shir Lamalo Isasoina Yelori Me'ayin Yoizri Ezri Me'adino Yoisei Shomayim Voretz Al Yitein Lamoid Raglecha Al Yonum Shemrecha Hinei Lo Yonum Velo Yishon Shemer Yisrael Adinoi Shemrecha Adinoi Tzilcha Al Yad Yiminecha Yoim HaShemesh Lo Yakekov Yoreach Valoilo Adino Yishmorcha Mikol Ra Yishmor Es Nafshecha Adino Yishmor Tzischo Vayecha Me'ata V'ad Olam Acheinu Kol Beis Yisrael Hanesunim B'Tzor V'Shivya Hoim Dem Bein Bayom U'Bein Bayabasha Hamokim Rachim Aleim V'Yitzim Ritzor L'Revacha U'Mi'afela Li'Oira U'Mishiva L'Geula Hashta Bagalo V'Zman Koriv V'Nimar Omein. Shir is sponsored with Lzaicher Nishmas. 43 Chayalim that were niftar in the latest war, and the 1,200, 1,300, however many, it's too many, and refuah shlema of 5,000 plus Chayalim and 200 plus kidnapped. We should know for more tzaras. We should see a geula b'mehera. As a follow-up to our discussion after Shir last night, just went through Shir from Brachos, where Avi Mandelbaum, Olav Shalom, emailed about his affinity for soup. It seemed like the chatter after the email that it was the first time he was introduced to the Shir. He's telling me that, I'm not going to mention his name because he wants to remain anonymous, that he's going through Brachos and like people like Yisrael Goldstein are writing in for the very first time names. Oh, here's Fischel. There's a new person named Fischel. And here's Avi Mandelbaum, never mentioned before, his first time. I just wanted to share this part anonymously in case it can be mechazik anyone, and also to give some chizuk to you for your inspiration. This is a chizuk, this following part, that people could take ideas from this. I started 4 cycles Daf Yomi, but haven't made it out of Seder Moed. Until this time, Baruch Hashem. I struggled through brachas and being kavei itim, but I made it through. When COVID came around, the extra time at home made it easy for me to stay consistent, and even took on a second Masechta for a few months. I stayed with the Daf for a couple of years, but I wasn't focused as much on the Gemara as I wasn't just being present for the day shir, and it started to feel like empty learning. Long story shorter, I decided to shake things up and added other limudim like Daf Yomi B'Halacha, Mishnah Yomi, and Nach Yomi when the cycle started almost 2 years ago, and then came the biggest change, finally starting to follow your shir. Not only has your shir kept me engaged in the Daf, but your Musar Chizuk also keep me on top of my other limudim. The next phase, thanks in large part to you, is that I'm committed to Shnai Mikra with Rashi. 4 years ago, I wouldn't have dreamed that I could keep up a fraction of my limudim, but when you take on a little at a time and stay committed to the Yomi, you start to break down the Eitzahara excuses and find that you are capable of so much more than you imagine. And yes, it has changed my life and the way that my wife and kids think of me. Oh, that's a big one. The way his wife and kids think of him. That's another huge thing of doing the daf. It gives your wife something to respect, and your kids look up to you in a different way. I've used a Google Doc, and calendar reminders. Keep this all straight. I'm going to show you the picture. It's fascinating to give me the satisfaction and encouragement that comes with checking things off every day. If anyone wants something like this tailored to their needs, I'd be happy to share. The problem is he's anonymous. How is he going to share? I guess you're going to have to call me, and I'm going to, or make Yosef crazy. Thank you for all that you do for our Kehillah. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bench you with the good health and ability to help us grow in learning. Bench your family with the Mazel Bracha Tzlacha and Gezint they deserve for supporting your efforts. Rabbi Say, take a look at this amazing chart. This is daily. Each one of those colors is something that he does every day. Daf Yomi B'Halacha, Nach Yomi, Mishnah Yomi, Chasan Torah 2, Chabura, Shnai Mikra, and he gets to check it off every day. There's a little box there. You can see his checks, and this is the recent one. Beautiful. Huh? You hate him already? You're not calling him up. Hi, Rebelli. Just wanted to update you that Reb Shmuel, the Baal Tefillah from Monroe, did join the daf. Credit to you, beautiful. Listen, Reb Shmuel, I forgot his last name. I'm very bad with names. the davening on Shabbos was longer than Yom Kippur. Longer than Yom Kippur. You know what happens when you're in shul longer than Yom Kippur? You start getting very antsy. Not me, and not a single person in that room. I don't know why. It was the first time in my life. He's not a chazan, and he's not a singer. He's like something in between. And together with the choir, it was something I've never heard before. From like Shoichenad to Baruch, probably 20 minutes. I don't know. It was like, but it's all enjoyable. It's like you're in a concert, but an enjoyable concert. Not if you're not a chazan. If you're into chazanas, okay. If you're not into chazanas, you know where I'm going. You know, like you ever been to chazanas Shabbos and you just don't enjoy chazanas? This wasn't that. Anyways, he's from Monroe, and he joined the Daf. It's another win for MDY because Monroe has a hard time doing Daf Yomi. So they got him to do it. We have a daily shir in KJ, and some of us listen to your shir daily. There's like 7 guys from Monroe at the Shabbos. Is amazing. By Joel Mizrahi. Rebbe Eli, I don't think I can write anything as exquisite as people have written about the incredible Shabbaton, including those who have questioned their own grasp of the English language. But one thing that didn't get enough mention is the exceptional 400-page Zemirot book that was given out. I finally had a chance to flip through this past Shabbos, and wow, W in capital. Wow in capital. It is brilliant. Beyond Tomer's amazing feat of going to Turkey to get it printed, I know that Yochanan was very involved in creating it, and I'm sure many others should be thanked and acknowledged. The detail and depth of the Zemir's book is outstanding. I cannot even explain it all in this email. While it starts with the exceptional Shabbat Kiddushim, there's also holiday Kiddushim, Pizmonim for Lag BaOmer, Birkat HaMazon, and more. But that's only where it gets started. After that, there's hundreds of pages of Zemirot in Hebrew and Yiddish, then Shirei Regesh from Israeli singers, Yiddish singers, as well as English Jewish songs. This is the ultimate Achdut Sefer. Top it all off, it also has Nachman Seltzer's 2 MDY songs, Kiner Mitzvah V'Torah Or, and it's not about the Daf, it's about the Yomi. I didn't even know that. I didn't go through every page. Now I'm going to have to look for it. That's pretty cool that they stuck that in. Lastly, I really thought the photos of the characters were added in randomly throughout the book. So did I. But that is the furthest thing from the truth. This was done carefully and with the creative detail and great forethought. Each photo is linked to a specific word or tefillah or zemer. For example, Dr. Factor in his doctor code by the words Us tischazik v'sisrape in Yidid Nefesh. Havdalah ben Kodesh L'chol with Yossi Klein in his Shabbos clothes and Streimel on one side and his plumber outfit on the other. Or Joe Biden next to Asher Bachar Banu in the Kiddush for Rosh Hashanah. I'm thoroughly amazed by the creative effort and genius put into this book. It's a real testament to the dedication of our amazing MDY family. Thanks to all who are involved in its production. I have a copy with me and I forgot to bring it. Okay. The Masechta is sponsored for the unity of Am Yisrael. And the Parnas HaChodesh, the Nishmas Zechariah Ben Moshe, and the Nishmas Chai Bas Yosef, Parnas HaChodesh, Rafur Shlema for Dovid Dvora Basara, the mother of Gershon Ben Moshe. Parnas HaShavua, Mordechai Sapoznick, Lzaicher Nishmas, his grandmother, who's just niftar. Faigeh Shprintza, Bas Horav Yitzchok Sapoznick, Oleh Shalom. May your neshama have an aliyah. Mordechai, your ganze Mishpacha should have an aliyah. I'm reading down here because, okay, this is his father's mother. His father came with me. My father came with me on the Shabbaton. I guess Hashem wanted us to go because he was niftar after Shabbos, and my father was able to join the Shabbaton. Okay. Today, the Parnas Hayoim, sponsored by Keren and Dovid. Barman, who's here in attendance, in memory of Marvin, Barman, Moshe Leib, Ben Eliezer. The neshama should have an aliyah. Shkoyach for sponsorship. Binyamin Kar, in honor of Shimi Braun, from BP Matza Bakery. There are 3 Shalshels in the Torah. Okay, whatever that means. Inside joke, I guess. We know there's only 3 Shalshels. If you were at the Reb YY Jacobson's speech on Friday night, he did a whole thing about the Shalshels in that week's parasha. The Art of the Month, sponsored Yosef ben Chai Sarah for the schusim that come from supporting Limud Torah. Rabbi Yisai, we are holding on the last line of Daf Yomi and Amud Beis, where the Gemara tells us an amazing chiddush. I saw some of you like amazed at this chiddush, that if we say that the carcass, the animal that's killed through hezek, belongs to the owner, not only does it belong to the owner, but he's responsible for all the loss that happens to the carcass from the time it dies until Bezin Paskins or whatever it is. So a mazik comes along, damages an animal, the animal drops dead, and the clock starts ticking, and every minute that goes by, the animal's worth less and less. The one who takes that loss is the owner of the animal. Big chiddush. So Gemara says on the last line here, perhaps it's not so simple. Maybe it's actually a machlokes tanoi in the Sanya. This is the pasuk that we had yesterday. There's something called a Shomer Sachar. Here, take a look at this chart. We're not going to go into all of them, but a Shomer Chinam is somebody that watches your object for free. He's a tzaddik. He does you a favor. He's potter if it gets stolen or it's lost, but he's chayiv if he's posheya. Yes, he's doing you a favor. It doesn't mean he can walk away from it in the middle of the street. If he's negligent, he's chayiv. A Shomer Sachar, because he receives money, he has to do a better job watching it, and therefore, if it gets stolen or lost, he's chayiv. That's the difference between him and a Shomer Chinam. Lost and stolen. By Shomer Chinam potter, by Shomer Sachar chayiv. So, the pasuk says, if it gets, this animal gets eaten by a wolf, they should bring a witness. So the Gemara on top of Yud Aleph Amud Aleph, we're already 10 daf into Bava Khan. We just started right before Shabbos last week, and that's how it goes. Before you know it, boom. And today is no different. We're going to have many, many new halachas and concepts. Very geshmak daf. If the Shomer Sachar could produce a witness that says that it was killed, came a wolf, I couldn't do anything about it, I'm not going to go fight wolves, potter. Yeah, wolves, like in the safari, the wild dogs and the hyenas, they hunt in groups. Very, very good hunters. Like the wild dogs happens to be, they have the number one kill rate in all of the safari. When they decide to go after an animal, that animal's gone. 90-something%. Why? Because they hunt in a group, and the group doesn't get tired, and the group is smart, come from all different. Wolves also. What a human being against a bunch of wolves, a pack of wolves, it's not a match. So if he can prove that there were a bunch of wolves, he gets out of it. Upatu. Abishal Oimer Yavi Aduda Lebezdin. The Shomer Sachar should schlep the carcass of this animal, seems funny, and bring it to Bezdin. So, just this word reminds me of the story. Some of you know it, but the new guys for sure don't. So I'll tell them anyway. Lucky for the new guys, I could say my mice is chazer over. Listen, the Gemara chazers over, I could chazer over my mices at least once a month. When I lived in Bnei Brak, my father would wake me up early in the morning, once in a while. And you know what my father looks like now with the talis, the tefillin, the whole thing. Early in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, we're going to the Shlachtos. We're going to get some chickens. So, okay, no questions asked. 4 o'clock in the morning, it's still dark outside. We go to this place across the street. We lived in Ramat Hanan, and there was a factory there where they used to shech the chickens. He walks in there, he says, is it okay if I check some chickens to make sure they're not treifa? Because if a chicken falls 4 amas, it could break its bones. And he thought that maybe the chickens are thrown off the crates off the trucks. I got some Maisa. So, to make a long story short, he would go in there and take some chickens out of the box. And they were all sleeping, these chickens, right? They like to sleep at night, especially when it's dark. Takes them, puts them on the ground, and they just fall over. He says, you see, these are treifas. So no, Abba, they're sleeping. Anyways, once in a while, the chicken would get up and start running around the whole place in between the sheikhtim. And they're like, get out of here. We don't need people like you here. That's not a treifa. Anyway, so one day, this chicken, they shech the chicken and goes through the machine, the feathering machine, takes out the feathers, and it comes out black and blue. So my father doesn't know what to do. He has 10 chickens, and one of them is black and blue. He says, I don't know, what's this black and blue? What's going on here? So he says, okay, listen, take this chicken and go to Reb Nissen Karelitz, ask him what's going on here. So I take the chicken, he puts it in a bag, and the feet with the yellow legs, sticking out of the bag. I take this chicken, I start going down the stairs, and he runs after me, he says, listen, if he tells you it's good, it's kosher, ask him if it's oif shahira ba'i chacham. You understand what I'm telling you? Oif shahira, remember to ask him this, oif shahira ba'i chacham, meaning, is this a chicken that a Talmud Chacham made a psak on? And if yes, he doesn't want to eat it. He doesn't want chickens that have a suffix kosher or not. It has to be. Okay, so I'm repeating this thing to myself. Oif shahira ba'i chacham, oif shahira ba'i chacham. And I go, I look, my father, there's no ways. and he doesn't know how to. I just asked people, where's Remisim Karel? It says Bezdin. Okay, here. There's a line. I wait in line, and then these Dayanim and Nisim, the whole thing. They see this kid with a chicken in a bag, and I could see them like looking and smirking a little bit. I pull out the chicken. By then it was probably spoiled. I don't know. It was like through the Bnei Brak heat. Pull it out. I said, "What's going on here?" It happened from the machine, from the feather, from the plat. After it died, it got binged up from the machine. So I look at Remisim Karel. Instead of asking him, is this a oif shahir b'chacham? I said, my father wanted to know if this is a chacham shahir b'oif. Is this a rabbi that the chicken gave a psak on? And they liked it. They were laughing. Yeah, okay, great. So that was that. So over here it says, Yovi adudel bezdin. You should bring the dead body. People have done it before. I'm not the first guy that brought a dead chicken to bezdin. This guy should bring his behemoth to the bezdin. Maybe this is exactly our machlokes. Maybe the Mar Sovar Rabbi Shol is going to hold Pchas Nevela the Nizik Havi. The Pchas Nevela, what it diminishes in value, is owned by the Nizik. So Rashi goes in to explain over here that Rabbi Shol is holding that this is pshia, not oinus. There's no way in the world this could be a question of oinus. Why? Because if it's oinus, he's the Nizik. As we said before, you could pay him whatever you want. He doesn't have a choice in what he gets. So it's talking about a pshia. In other words, the Shem Sachar, he was negligent. And nevertheless, Abba Shal is of the opinion that the nizik loses the value from the time it dies. Mamish, like in my case, I walked with a chicken in the Bnei Brak heat for over an hour. It has less value for sure. I don't know if it's edible, but let's say it's edible, it's less value. So over here also, who takes that loss? The nizik. Umar Sovar, the Mazik Havi, and the Tanakama holds that the Pchas Nevela is owned by the Mazik. Okay. Rashi just goes into this whole thing that if the Shomer was Pesheya, he doesn't bring it to Bezdin, there's no nafkemina. Okay, this is what I said before. Akopanim, perhaps this is the machlokes that we were discussing. We wanted to say that Pchas Nevela is only the Nizuk. No, maybe it's a machlokes. So no proof from here. Lo the Kulama the Nizuk. Maybe everybody holds that the one that was damaged takes the whole loss. That according to Abba Shol, the Shomer would have to go and retrieve the Nevela. We actually have a picture today for it. Here. Is it? There's a pit. So who has to retrieve the dead animal from within the pit? Abba Shol holds it's the mazik. I didn't know it goes with the sound. Sorry. Has the MDY. Oh, he's still alive. MDY okay, Bell. Good. MDY Bell. Fine. Shite. So who has to do that action? Who has to pull all the ropes? According to Abba Shol, that's the machlokes here. Not a shaila of who incurs the damage. According to Abba Shol, it's the Shem Sachar who has to, and according to the Tanakama, it's the owner. But Tanya, and I'll prove it to you. How do you know that the owner has to retrieve the shar? So that was this thing over here. I just used the old thing, but if you look at this pasuk, it says Baal Habar Yishalem Kesev Yoshiv Lebalav, and they play it with the words a little bit v'hames. They add the word v'hames, not v'hames yeloi like I have over here. It should have been just the word v'hames in red and the rest not. In other words, that he Lebalav v'hames, that what the dead body, the mazik also has to retrieve. Not only does he have to pay, but he also has to take care of the hames and the dead body. That's how he learns the pasuk. Fine. There was a maisa where a guy had a really old donkey, and a really old pit. And he decided to kill two birds with one stone. So he took the donkey, threw the old donkey into the pit, wanted to get rid of both. And he started filling up the pit with dirt. When he was done, suddenly his donkey emerged. What happened? Every time he threw a pail of dirt, the donkey stepped on it. And the donkey got himself out of the pit. I'm not sure what the end of the Maisa was. Either the donkey became a Rosh Hashiva later, or he had a kid after 9 months. I don't know. Something very like a Maifas happened. Or the donkey kicked him in the head. Whatever the story was. But I think the Musar Haskell of the story is that we all have unfortunate situations in our life. And the trick is every single one of us has some sort of tzara and something. And the idea is to use it as an advantage, as a stepping stone, and take that disadvantage that we were given and use it to grow, to step up. You throw dirt on a donkey, he steps on it. He goes, and he's able to climb out with all the tsaras that you wanted to bury him with. Instead of being buried and not taking advantage, he used it to uplift himself and save his life. And that's what we have to do. So the Gemara, what's going on here? What's the story that the machlokes, who has to take care of the carcass? Let's say when it's inside the pit on the bottom, it's only worth $1, and when you take it out, it's worth $4. When the mazik is very matriach to get it out, he gains. Look, now instead of paying the guy who was worth 10 before, and now on the bottom of the pit it's worth 1, the mazik is going to have to pay 9. But if he's able to retrieve it, now he has to pay 6 or whatever. Yeah. So it's good for him to be Torah. Why are you making a whole big deal out of it? Of course you should be Torah. Amalei, very interesting. I think we could relate to this teretz. In the beginning, I was like, wow. But then I realized it makes a lot of sense. On the bottom of the pit, it's worth $1. And when you take it out, it's worth $1. In other words, you could go to a store and you buy, the Gemara gives an example, you buy wood in the city, it costs X, and in the desert, it costs the same amount. You don't gain anything by having it closer or further away from you. A lot of times, products cost the same amount, regardless of where they are. Says Gemara, does that make sense? On the bottom of the pit, 1, and on top, in the Armenian, when you buy a beam in the city for zuz, same price in the middle of the desert. This chesed that we do with the mazik, so to speak, we say, hey, your animal, your dog killed the neighbor's goat. He'll have to deal with the dead goat. Whatever it's worth, we're going to take off the price. That works for hezek. But it doesn't work for a ganav le'legazlan. In other words, if somebody stole a goat, let's say somebody steals a bike, right? Today, people like to steal bikes. He steals a bike, and he had a little bit of an accident. He broke the bike. So now he wants to do tshuva. He can't take the broken bike and give it back to the original owner and say, listen, this broken bike still has value. Okay, it costs $1,000. Now it's worth $500. I'll just pay you $500 in cash. That's not how it works. You have to go as a ganav. You have to go and give him a brand new bike. You don't have this chiddush that we have by hezek that you could give him a broken bike and you just pay the difference. Vani oimer af l'shoyel. Says Shmuel, and I want to say that a shoyel also is the same thing. Now, a shoyel, same thing what? That he's like a ganav or he's like a nizak? Which one is he? Va'aba moideli. And Rav agrees to me. Iboilu. Right away. What's going on here? Which one is it? Is a shoyel somebody that we could compare him to a ganav? Maybe it makes sense not to compare him to a ganav. He's not a bad guy. He borrowed something, and it broke, so maybe she should return the broken object and just pay the difference. Toshma. There's somebody that borrowed an axe. Tavra, he broke it. So very interesting. There's a story about Reb Chatzkel Abramsky and Reb Mordechai Epstein. They were on a train and they're talking about the sugya. And they're on the train and they're fighting with each other. Is the word Tavra or Itbar? They had a big fight. So as soon as they got off the train, they run to the Bismarish. Chatzkel Abramsky pulls out the Gemara. He says, I'm right. It says Tavra. And at the same moment, Mordechai Epstein pulls out a Gemara. He says, it says Idbar. So what happened was, Mordechai Epstein pulled out Bava Metzia, the same exact sugis in Bava Metzia, and Daf Tzadik Vav, I looked it up, Daf Tzadik Vav and Beis, and it says it actually does say Idbar. That's the story. Maybe somebody made up the story. He saw that it was a little different, and he said a whole ma'aser to tzaddikim, but that's how they say the story. Upon him, the axe broke. Tavra broke. Also came to the Rav, so they came to Rav, who he called before Abba. Omalei zil shalimle nargam aliyah. You can't give him a broken axe and pay him the difference between a broken axe and a good axe. You have to give him a brand new. Go to Home Depot, buy a brand new axe. Shmamina ein shaman. So you see that a shayel, somebody who borrows, we don't do him a favor, and he cannot use the broken object as payment. He has to pay him in full. Says the Gemara, Adarabba, I have a fakir to write. Why? Just from the fact that Talmidim Rav Kahana Ravasi asked the Rebbe Rav. 2 words. Dina Hachi. Is that true that he has to buy a brand new axe? V'shasik, and Rav didn't answer. Shmami no shamim. Listen, this is not a joke what the Gemara is saying here. You hear what's going on here? Rav Kahana Ravasi asked Rav, are you sure that's the halacha? Quiet. What does that mean? That means he retracted. They are right. That's not the halacha. How do I know? Because in fact, the Gemara passes like this question. Says the Gemara, Itmar, Omar Ula, Omar Rebbe Eliezer. It's very interesting. The Gemara brings Ula in the name of Rebbe Eliezer. And because the Gemara brings Ula in the name of Rebbe Eliezer, for this exact Shaila, the Gemara is going to bring 7 halachas throughout Shas. Nothing to do with Baba Kama. We're going to go on a wild roller coaster ride through Shas. And they all have to do with Ula, Omer Rebbe Eliezer. The first one is, we get to our sugya. Shaman leganav, Ula Gazlan. Wrong. He holds that when a ganav breaks the bike, he could take the broken bike, put it in the backyard of the guy he stole from, with a check for the remaining money. He doesn't have to buy a brand new bike. Rapapi Omar ain't shamim. Okay, ain't. V'hilchasa ain't shamim loy leganav loy legazlan. The halacha is that a ganav cannot give a broken bike. Aval shoyel shamin. But if you borrow something, you could give back the broken axe. How do I know? Because they asked Rav, and Rav didn't answer. That means he retracted. Halacha number 2 from Ula Omer Rebbe Eliezer. And we're going into Nida over here. Check this out. Very, very simple chart. There's a difference between if a woman gives birth to a boy or girl, but we're going to go with the girl. Girl is double in everything. So it works like this. If a woman gives birth to a girl, midaraisa, she's tamei for 14 days. If she gives birth to a boy, she's tamei for 7 days. But if she gives birth to a boy and she goes to the mikveh after 7 days, she has 33 free B days. In other words, it doesn't matter if she sees dam, not dam. It doesn't matter if she's tahar. 33. But a girl, she has double of everything. 14 to begin with. She's 14 tamei days. No matter what, dam, not dam, she's tmeya. She goes to the mikveh, and then she's tahira for 66 days. And then she has to bring a carbon, the whole thing. Tahira carbon. So what happened was an unfortunate situation. A woman miscarried. And you don't see a baby, you don't see anything. What you see is a sack. Now, in the sack, there's a baby. It's dissolved. So it happened over a 2-day period. and we don't know, did most of it come out the first day or the second day? So when does she become tameh? The first day or the second day? Now, it could be a nafkamina if she's tameh on the first day, so everything she touches is tameh, the whole thing. She touches fruit. In those days, they were very makbid on tum and tahara, but it's a big nafkamina because if she's tameh on the first day, the clock starts ticking 14 days. Again, we don't know if it's a boy or girl, right? It's dissolved. I have no idea what it is. It's she's in the third month, whatever it is. So we have to assume the worst. That's a girl in terms of tuma. And then the clock starts ticking. I didn't see this. I just thought about it now. Most likely she doesn't get 66 days of tahara because what if it's a boy? So it's going to be a big problem. She's going to start from 13 and go, whatever. 7 days less than 33. Okay, fine. We're going to pretend it's a boy. I don't know. That's what I'm assuming. Alkoponim. The issue is that how do we know that she gave birth on the first day? How do we know she gave birth on the second day? Maybe she gave birth mostly on the second day. So the Gemara says we start from the first day. Why are you doing this? You want to be a machmer. Oh, that's not a good chumrah, says Rav. Why? Because it comes out that on day 14, you're already telling her to go to the mikveh, she's tar. But what if she only started on day 2? Day 2, you start 14 days from the second day that she saw. Most of the sack came out on the second day. Now you're going to tell me she's tar on day 14. No, she's really tummy until day 15. On the first day, you have to be choshesh that she's tmeya. She starts counting 14 days from the second day. Okay, so she only becomes tar on the 15th day. These are very small sugyas. We're going to go through this little sugya, finish that, go to a completely different sugya. What do you see from this? The aim mix a shili b'loy vlad. You want to tell me that you saw a little bit of the sack on the first day? There must have been some sort of baby in there, but that we already know. Tanina shilya shiyatsa miktasa. You have a behema. So it goes like this, right? The halach of ben pekua. I could have made it a yisoid in shas. Ben pekua is the idea that if you shecht a mother and you find a baby inside the mother, I was just offered a baby like that. I said no, thank you. But my chavrus's brother-in-law shechted one, found the baby in there. You don't have to do shchita on that baby. And in fact, every time we learn it, I keep on mentioning that in Australia, somebody came up with this invention that if you take a baby, the baby has life. Let's say the baby was able to live. And you take 2 babies, a zocher and a keva, that are ben pekua, that you shechted the mother. The halacha is there's no ever menachai. You can eat the entire baby. There's no treifa. Even if you open up the baby's heart and you see that it's full of holes, kosher. So what you do is you take this baby and this baby, 2 ben pekuas, you put them together, and they have babies. And they're all ben pekua babies. So you don't need a hechsher anymore. There's no treif meat. This is what a guy invented in Australia. He had a whole farm of ben pekuas. As long as the parents are real ben pekuas, then their children and generations afterwards are all ben pekuas. That's what he held. I don't know. Probably the Rabbanim came out against it. Whatever. I think it was some sort of controversy. I'll go on him. What happens if a baby sticks its hand out and then you shech the mother? The hand is not edible. You can't eat the hand. It doesn't get the hechsher from the mother. Whatever's inside the mother, the rest of the body of the baby is good, but not the hand. What happens if the whole sack comes out? Not the whole thing. Miktsasa. So the halacha is, nu halacha, asur b'achila. You're not allowed to eat any of the sack. Siman vlad be'isha, when a sack comes out, it's a sign for a woman. Siman vlad be'behema. So I already see this halacha that when I see a sack, I have to assume that there's a baby in there. And that's what it means. Siman vlad be'isha, siman vlad be'behema. When I see a sack, I say this is a vlad. She's already tamei. The woman, if it's a human being, she's tmeya. If it's a behema, then I can't eat it. It came out. It's already not a ben pekua. Akopanim, the Gemara is asking, what do I need to say twice? I already have it here. Says Gemara, Masnisin Avamina, Daf Yud Aleph Amud Beis. If I'd only go based on the Mishnah, some are Gershon Masnisa, but it's a Mishnah. Masnisin, my Gemara says Masnisin. If I would just say the Mishnah, the Yesh Miktas Shilya Beloy Vlad, maybe you need a full Shilya. You need only a full Shilya is Aser, and a little bit is nothing. But Gzeira Miksasa to Kula, but I'm going to make a Gzeira. So people don't get confused. They'll see you eating, let's say half a sack comes out. So I'm telling you it's mutter. Only a whole sack that comes out is Aser. So people are going to get confused between a half sack, a whole sack. You say, you know what? All sacks, half, whole, all are Aser. But by a woman, says Rashi, I don't have to be geyser. Why? Because people see later on that the whole thing came out and she became tummy then. All right, new sugi, Rabbi. Brand new sugi. If you just arrived now, brand new.
Great turnout, 84 online, right? 84 online.
I only see 58 over here.
In Zoom and
oh, very nice. So what? This is YouTube?
Zoom and YouTube,
58 on YouTube. Very nice, beautiful. That's where they all are. They want to be here. By the way, if you're in Miami, you're watching this year, I got 2 emails today from people in Miami. What time is Shir in Miami? It's always at 9 o'clock. And also, please get on the WhatsApp group so that you'll know. 2 people sent in. One guy said he's a doctor or something. He's a resident. The problem is that they're slightly behind. That's probably what's going on. Okay, don't come for pizza. That was last night. Says another ula in the name of Rabbi Eliezer. Bechar shenitra b'soich shloishim yom. Rabbi, I think this is a beautiful thing. My sister sent me. My sister, who's Haredi, her husband is Rosh Koilo. Their son is in the army. His name is Oivei. Meir Simcha. Meir Simcha Ben Adina. So bad with names. Anyway, but she sent me this video, and it was very emotional. I said, I have to show it in Shir. But beautifully, it came out mamish in the sugya. Here's the video I wanted to show. I thought it's incredible. Check this out. It's a little blurry. On my phone, it came out great. I hope there's sound here. No?
יש לי בן בכור, ופטר רחם לאמו, והקדוש ברוך הוא ציווה לפדותו שנאמר, ופדויו מבן חודש תפדה, בערכך כסף 5 שקלים בשקל החודש 20 גראו.
What's happening? He's doing a pidyon of Ben in Gaza. It's unbelievable. Without the baby, without the mother, without the jewelry, he's doing a pidyon of Ben.
מאי בית פי, ייתן לי בנך בכורך שהוא פטר רחם לאמו, או בית לפדותו בעד 5 סלעים כדי מחייב מדאורייתא. איזה תרצה יותר, בנך בכורך זה, או 5 סלעים שנתחייבת בפדיונו? חפץ אני לפדות את בני, והילך דמי פדיונו כדי מחייב מדאורייתא. זה התפילין, הם שווים יותר מ5 סלעים, 306 שקל בערך כשיצאנו לכאן.
I don't know, I was very much
ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על פדיון הבן. אמן! ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. אמן!
Give him his spirit tefillin. Unbelievable. Okay. So we're talking about Pidyon Ben here. Mamish worked out beautifully. That the halach is they have to be paid to your son if he's 30 days old. And if Rahman al-Islam, the baby dies within 30 days, so it's an eifel. It's not a bar kayama, you're not mechuyev to be paid. What if you have a kid that's a viable kid? It's going to live. But unfortunately, an animal got to it and killed it. So I would think that maybe you have to do Pidyon Ben after the baby died. You're mechuyev, you had a chiyuv to be paid. So, says the Gemara, no. You don't have to do Pidyon Ben. I would think that you Polisifta, no matter what, regardless, even if the kid was nitraf, no, he has to survive the 30 days. Another halacha Rabbi Yisai, a large animal like a horse, donkey, cow, you obviously are not going to lift it up. So you pull it to you, and that's how you acquire it. Oh, hold on a second. This is not good. I forgot to plug it in, and now
No better.
we got to go back to the thing. Gotta go back to RBS. Gotta go back to RBS. Gotta go back to RBS. Okay, we're still on. Okay, we didn't go. Oh, all the owner has to do is give over the reins and say, "Hey, take." You don't have to pull it to you. He says like another Tana Sanya. A large animal, small animal. Rishim says you lift an animal. If you've never seen a person lift an animal bagba, please pay attention to this video. This is how you do a Kenyan Hagbah, if anybody wants to know. What? That's a live goat, Rabbi Side. This is you, Yosef. Oh, good morning, Rabbi Side. All right, like to get going in Shas. Little Meshuggah. Bamarula. I did that for Avremi. He's never seen it. You never seen me lift up the animal. What? I didn't want it to do things. I don't know. Like, it's the middle of a shear. I wasn't going to be all... Yeah. If anybody wants a drone, Avremi's here. Avremi's making a drone that could carry human beings. It's going to be... I'll be one of the first people to fly it. Bamarula. Eliezer. Interesting Allah, you have brothers that are dividing an inheritance. They're taking it easy for the first few months. They don't want to be, show how much they care about money. So they're playing it large. They take the father's credit card, they spend, they buy all this clothing and stuff. Then they show up to Bezdin. They're nice suits, the Ferragamo shoes, everything. They have to, hey, you bought $300 of shoes, you bought a nice this, you did the watch. It's all, we're going to take everything into account. That comes off the total. But what the wife spent on her credit card, the children, that we're not going to schlep them into Bezdin. It's not their derech to come to Bezdin. So, all right, they got away with it. They got some free clothes. Sometimes, even what they're wearing, or in some cases, one of them is wearing, you don't do an appraisal. The oldest of the brothers. When you go to court, you can't just come in with like a T-shirt that says something crazy. You have to come in every criminal, dress them up with a nice suit, tie. The biggest thugs come in, they look like lawyers, and you know how it goes. So over here also, the oldest brother, we need to dress him up because he's doing business, whatever it is, he has to look like a mensch. So that's not going to come off the bottom line. Another halacha. Think about this. If you had to think about this halacha, you'd probably, there's a machlokes actually. If I ask you to watch my car, yeah? I'm paying you $100 a month to watch my nice car. Are you allowed to just turn around without telling me and give it to somebody else and let him watch it? And if he does, and he something happens to it, who's responsible? The first guy, the second guy? You're saying no. It might not be okay, but at the end of the day, we'll see. If the first guy gives it to the second guy, he's potter. Certainly not. Here, you just want to see the chart while I'm talking. Since he doesn't get paid, he's not responsible so much. So he's not such a great shomer. So even a shomer chinam, certainly if he ups it, he gives it to somebody that charges. So now it's going to be watched even better than the owner thought it's going to be watched. Even if you go downwards, you downgrade the shmira. You go from a guy that, I'm the owner, I'm paying you $100. You found the guy that's going to do it for free. So now my car is not even being watched that well. It's like one of those cars from, I don't want to say, one of these towers over here. A whole, like $500,000 worth of cars in a half hour went piping. Why? Because the guy is shvacha shomer. Or like Fischl's jet ski the other day. What's going on with the shomer? By the way, that shomer came to me. You hear this? I came off the jet ski today. Shalom aleichem. He's here. The shomer. I like, yeah, can I help you? He's like, I noticed that it was missing I said, but now it's not missing, so it's good, right? Yeah, okay, good. Shkoya, you have to see when it goes missing, not when the guy brings it back. Okay, talk to him. Even you go downwards, nami potter. You potter. Why? As long as you give it to somebody that has das, that's it. You yoitza. It's crazy. The guy pays you good money to watch his thing. You're getting paid. Now you find some loser kind of guy that's going to do for free. So you make all the money. You put it on him, and you're potter. You don't have to do anything. Great business. As long as you give them nas. Ravam, I know. I don't like this. No, you give it to the second guy, you're chayiv. Certainly, when you downgrade the shemir, of course you're chayiv. The guru got the shemir also because he made it worse. But even a shemir who goes upwards, it makes it even better. Says Rav, in all cases you're chayiv. And he says a different reason. His reason is because I don't trust the second guy with a shvuah. He's a loser. He's a liar. He's a ganav. He'll make a shvuah sheker. I trust you with a shvuah. That's why I gave it to you. If somebody owes somebody money, you could go and grab his slave. So this is again another halacha that Ula said in the name of Rav Eliezer. Ask Rav Nachman Tula. Rav Eliezer, afilu miyasmi? Is this halacha also that you could go and grab the slaves of the Yisraelim that they inherited from the father? So very, very interesting. Rabbi Eliezer said a little bit of not emes. He was a little scared of Rav Nachman and said, Loi, minei. He didn't want to get into a whole fight with him. So, no, Rabbi Eliezer only said him directly, not from the Yisraelim. You can't take a slave from Yosef. So he says, minei. Really? That's what he said. Of course, you can take a slave. You could go, and this is a very important halacha to us. If you owe somebody money, you're mechuyev to pay him back. A lot of people say, I don't have money. Well, wait a minute. You have a car. You have a house. What do you mean you don't have money? The Gemara says over here, you owe somebody money. You give him your coat. You give him your shirt. So certainly a slave. It says Gemara, and here we have a yisod in Shas. It's called apoitiki. Apoitiki means ooh. Apoitiki. It's an abbreviation of 3 words. Apoitiki meaning, I can tell somebody, I owe you money. Here, take it from this cup right over here, or take it from this slave. Oh, so if it's a slave. If I make my slave, I say, I'm going to pay you back, and I'll guarantee it. That guy, that slave, that's the guy. If I don't pay you, take him. And then he went and he sold him. L'chayv could go and grab the slave. But if you did the same thing to a bull, you cannot go after the bull if it was sold. My taima, what's the difference between a bull and a slave? People know, you heard, he sold his chashuv slave to so-and-so. Nobody cares about a bull being sold. And then the Gemara says on top of Yud Beis Amud Aleph, the boss of the Nafek, after Rav Nachman walked away, Amalu Ula, so Ula told all this, Talmidim over there, I lied. That an Eved has halacha like karka. So we know that you cannot go after Yisayimim, you can only go after the Yisayimim's karka. If they inherited real estate, then you could go after, if the father owed you money, you could go after the real estate. But a slave, the Torah is always makish, a slave to karka. The question is, are we makish it to everything? So Rebbe Eliezer holds, yes, a slave is exactly like karka. Go after the slave. Rav Nachman, then he heard later on that he was tricked, that Ula told his Talmidim, I was just waiting for Rav Nachman to leave, and now I'm telling you the truth, and he heard about it afterwards. He says, Ula was worried for me, because he knows that I hold that Eved has halacha in this case, like metaltalin, so he cannot go after the slaves of Yisayimim, and he was worried that I'm going to get into a whole conversation with him and prove to him that he's wrong, so he tricked me. Lamaisa, I hold that you cannot go after slaves when they go to the Yisayimim. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day.
Yeah.